Yes, everybody, welcome to Underground. We got Marko in the building. This man, Marko, the man, the myth, the legend. I tell you, I've been trying to get Marko on the channel for long. From that first video that you see with Still Shady, I remember like a week before, I'm like, I've got to get Marko on, got to get Marko. So we're like nearly a year away and we finally have you on the channel, bro.
I'm here, man.
I am so excited to have you.
Yeah.
Can you tell us just like who you are? Introduce yourself to the peoples.
Cool. So my name's Marko, Christian rapper from Southeast London, born and raised. Started rapping in the world. I wasn't very good. You know what I mean? I was rolling with my brethren. He was the one who was carrying it, and he was trying to promote like good music, basically, like a music with a good message.
Yeah.
Essentially, he was going to church. You know what I mean? I was being dragged to church, but you know, I wasn't taking it too seriously. But I wasn't any good at rap, so I decided to exit out. I left it. I got kicked out of college and decided to focus more so on my career, like what I wanted to do in life. So I started going to uni. All of that, many years passed. I started coming to church again, and I saw a couple brothers rapping. They went by the name of Zar Music.
Yeah.
But they were our generation before us lot.
Yeah.
And they were really doing their thing. And I remember a couple of them used to tell me, you need to rap. I'm sure you still got bars, and you know, but I was just like, nah, my Christian rap is corny. I was just thinking, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I ended up getting a conviction, and I'm here today. You know what I mean?
Amazing.
So that's how that happened.
And the Zar Music thing, like, I'm so gassed about what's happening with you guys at Zar. We'll chat more about that later.
Yeah.
Because I do want to talk about Zar.
Yeah.
But your name, Marko, what does it mean? Has it got a special meaning?
Yeah. So my surname is Marko. And in my language, if I'm not mistaken, it means one who knows how to fight. When I used to get in trouble in school, funny enough, for fighting and other, you know what I mean, other things. I had a teacher, it was my head teacher. She always used to, Mr. Marko, come to my office. And I used to hate the way she said my surname.
Yeah, sure.
So I started to spell my surname how it's pronounced rather than how she was saying it and how it's read.
Yeah.
So after that, I remember I did a picture, I took a picture and I put the way I spell it rather than the way it, you know. And my brother was like, that sounds hard. You should call yourself Marko, like, half the, you know, and run with it. I said, yeah, that sounds sick. So I started calling myself Marko, and then everybody started calling me Marko because I started rapping, and, you know, and people think Marko is my real name, and it's not. You know, it became used so much that people started thinking it was my real name. Crazy, but yeah, man, my real name is Michael, but everyone just calls me Marko now. But,
That's cool.
So that's how that came about. Really.
That's cool. Now, you're the first guy in underground history,
Yeah.
very short history, mind you, but in underground history, to bring 2 tracks.
Yeah.
So I was surprised. Usually when I ask people, they bring 1 track and they go hard, but you've gone hard on 2 tracks, man.
Yeah.
It's unreal, and I love what you've done, because obviously I've heard it. The first one that's a bit more chilled out, a bit more flows, a bit chilled out, almost leaning back into the flow. And then the second one really shows off your technicality. I'm so gassed for people to see it. It's going to be so good. But what inspired you lyrically on both of those songs?
Cool. So the first half, this morning, obviously we've been speaking about coming here for ages, and obviously we finalized things now. But this morning, getting here, I had to go to hospital. There was a lot of stuff going on in terms of like my head and my health in general, so I had to go get tested, get my blood tested, all that kind of stuff. It was a nightmare, and I honestly, on the way here, I was just thinking like, I low-key feel like the enemy was really trying to stop it from happening. I felt like there was something that needed to be heard and he didn't want it to be heard. So it's like, boom, out of all days, today, this morning. But thank God, you know what I mean, I woke up pretty early because I was able to make it. But off the strength of that, I'd come with a set amount of lyrics, but I said, you know what? I'm gonna add this one in there because it means something. So the first time were lyrics from, the first couple of bars were from a song that I've got called Wartime. The word is sharper than a double-edged sword, that's a cutter. Smooth with a swing, the enemy forget chop up. Essentially, it's declaring war on the enemy. Like, it's whatever schemes you've got, it's not running. You get me? God has sent me here with a mission, so that's what's gonna happen. So that's where the inspiration for that one came. I had to spit that. I said that it has to be done. And the other ones were, the second half was more so, essentially that came from a lot of self-doubt. People have said like there was a period where I wasn't doing too well, like spiritually. And I just started to write. I remember God was calling me to write, and I started writing about, how I was perceived, etc., etc. How does it go? The whole of my life's been hard, so I pull up my jeans, write beats and tracks. Pulled up in the flat, see the ends too brassed, I know that's the ain't no cap. When I'm on the mic, brothers like, no, gotta serve God, but it's like gotta try loads. I gotta fight pride, I know, but gotta fight, but it's like it's the life I know. So it was a very tough time, but God saw me through it, and I thought, let me just put it out there, let people hear what they need to hear. And that's everything explained.
Mate, that's amazing. That's so cool, and thank you for coming.
Yeah, 100%.
It's a banger. So you are part of Zar Music.
Yes.
Tell me what Zar Music is, because I want to get the whole of Zar Music on here at some point. I don't know how we're gonna do it. It will be a madness. But we'll see how. But tell us about Zar Music.
Zar Music. I mentioned earlier they started off as a group. Well, when I first came to church, it was actually like a little group for youth. It wasn't rap. But then they took the same name and started rapping, and it was doing their thing. You know what I mean? Eds, J Star, there was a few of them that was in it. Dre, they was all doing their thing. And as things started to progress, more people started to come to church, etc., that were rapping, and we ended up getting brought into Zar, and the previous generation kind of passed the mantle on. So we started taking it up and doing what we needed to do. And so basically it's like a little collective of artists. We've all kind of got similar styles but different styles at the same time, and everyone's just doing their thing. TJ's doing his thing, Oz is doing their thing, Fabian is here now, he's doing his thing, Danico, big up Laura, you know what I mean? Everyone's just kind of holding their own, you know what I mean? But we're all connected, you know what I mean? We started off in church, and that's where it was, and that's where it is, you know.
Yeah, so it's like a collective glorifying Jesus through what they're doing, man.
That's it.
It's an absolute banger.
Yeah.
Your faith journey, you mentioned a little bit about it before.
Yes.
So obviously I always think it's funny when you're a rapper and then you decide to be a Christian rapper.
Yeah.
You obviously have a story, else why define yourself as that? Not that I don't know if you would necessarily say that, but you are in what you do. So what impact has Jesus had in your life, and how did you come into a relationship with him, I guess?
So growing up, my grandma was a Christian. She passed when I was quite little. So that essentially ended there. My mum was just whatever, she was just doing her thing. But then my sister I feel like my sister picked up the mantle from my grandma, and she started just serving God wholeheartedly. I would wake up early in the morning, she's just playing Hillsong, blasting it, you get me, like, you know, doing her thing, like, and she started bringing us to church, all that kind of thing. Through her, essentially my whole family was saved, you know. So I kind of knew things here and there, and, you know, I knew things of a spiritual nature, you know what I mean. I used to even see scary things growing up, so it's just like I knew God was real. But it's like as you get older, you start coming of age, the world starts to become appealing to you, you know what I mean. And I wasn't the craziest, you know what I mean. I had my fair share of madness. If you know, you know, innit? But you know, it's like in my heart, God was always there. So every time I did something crazy, or, you know, God was always in my heart. And it just got to the point where it's just like, I'm tired of the world, you know what I mean? There's a lot of dodgy people. There's a lot of things that are just not good for you, you know what I mean? And so my cousin invited me to church, and I started going. He invited me through saying, there's girls with like mad back. You know what I mean? So I was just like, you know what I mean?
So that's how you got invited to church, was them gal?
Because of gal, you get me? It's mad.
That's jokes.
But, you know, but once I came, I saw all the back. I said, something is still keeping me here. You get me? Like, I've seen everything now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've seen it, you know what I mean? But it was the word of God, you know what I mean? So I stayed coming to church, and it started to change me, you know? And I had friends that were in church that were always encouraging me to rap, all that kind of stuff. And some of them passed away, unfortunately. But it stuck with me, and it made me kind of want to rise up. They were doing their thing for God, and I said, you know what? God has given me a gift in the end of the day. It would be insane if I just walk through life and not use it.
Yeah, sure.
There was even there's a story in the Bible where it talks about when, I think if I'm not mistaken, the king gave the talents to the 3 people. And
one buried them, one invested them,
So I started to think of things like that, You know what I'm saying? I can go forth and bear fruit, or I could bury it. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't want to be that. So I said, let me go and do what I need to do. I started to feel very convicted about music. You know, there's people out there that are listening to secular music. I've seen brothers that have done a mad thing to secular music. They've gone on a, you know what I mean, go and do crazy things. You know, so I realized the impact of music in itself, and I said, I need to play my position, you know, and make music. There's people out there that are tailored for my sound.
Yes.
I need to do what I need to do and play my part, my position in this thing, and that's literally how I came to Christ and came to Christian rap.
Amazing to hear, bro.
Yeah.
Amazing to hear. What have you got anything coming out soon?
I do.
Why don't you tell the camera?
So, now don't hold me
and then
to
tell
it.
us your socials.
You get me? My socials are KNEEMARKO. You can find me on Instagram. I'm there. New music coming in November. By the grace of God, don't hold me to it, please, I beg. If not, then February. You know what I mean? Stay tuned. But yeah, that's me.
Amazing. We'll put all your socials in the description. Thank you very much for being with us, Marko. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you next week. Peace.